Shalom. Let's talk Hamas's plan for the days ahead. Hamas aims to bring about a major escalation during Ramadan. This we knew already. Developments on the ground are working in its favor. The PA's power is in continuous decline, while in Israel the new government is in a state of diplomatic confrontation with the international community and domestic political crisis. Again, everything is just the absolute right moment for chaos to be sown. The younger Palestinian generation is discouraged by the corrupt PA and, having no memories of previous intifadas, are thirsting for a confrontation with Israel. The system of Palestinian incitement takes advantage of this, and the social networks are encouraging the young to initiate terror attacks and become TikTok heroes. How's the UN not mentioning this? Strange. While other social media platforms limit or censor Palestinian incitement, TikTok, a Chinese company, does not. The IDF will be forced to launch additional operations deep in Palestinian territory because the PA no longer fights against terrorism in violation of the Oslo Accords. Most of the Palestinian public in the West Bank is not interested in a new intifada. An estimated 160,000 Palestinians work in Israel and they want to support their families. However, the rising violence may dictate events. The Palestinian incitement machine is taking advantage of the fact that this year, Passover, April 5th to April 13th, overlaps Ramadan perfectly. Groups on the Israeli right are planning activities on the Temple Mount and the Western Wall during the holiday, and the Palestinians are going to broadcast their false narrative as usual that Israel intends to take over the Temple Mount and the Al-Aqsa Mosque and divide them physically between Jews and Muslims, as it did at the Cave of Patriarchs in Hebron in 94. It's the same story they give every time this holiday swings around. The Palestinian narrative will point to increasing numbers of Jewish visitors to Temple Mount. Last year, 3,670 Jews visited the Mount during Passover, a figure which is expected to increase hugely this year. Some zealous Jews may even proclaim their intention to restore the millennium-old Paschal sacrifice this year. They threatened to do it last year too, so they'll definitely say the same thing this year. Any Israeli attempt to change the status quo on the Temple Mount is, from the point of the Muslims, crossing the red line, because only they're allowed to pray there and do their thing there. Hamas has been planning for a long time to ignite a new intifada in eastern Jerusalem, Judea and Samaria, using two main elements that arouse the Palestinian street: the security prisoners in Israeli prisons and the Al-Aqsa Mosque. The security prisoners have already announced their intent to initiate a hunger strike beginning with Ramadan, because they're supposed to be fasting. The action plan of Hamas for Ramadan is as follows. Number one, proclamation of civil disobedience in the Arab neighborhoods in eastern Jerusalem. Number two, the launch of a war of attrition against IDF forces and Israeli citizens out of Nablus and Jenin. Number three, to launch rockets from Gaza to support the new intifada. Number four, to call for lone wolf terrorists to launch attacks against Israeli soldiers and civilians everywhere. And number five, call on Israeli Arabs to disrupt the fabric of life in Israel. But the world's screaming to protect these people. This is what they're openly planning and discussing and saying, but the world's like, no, shame. Poor things, man. Oh, these bad Israelis trying to defend themselves. How dare you defend yourself because your son was murdered driving his car for no reason? How dare you defend yourself because your 6-year-old was driven over by a car just because he had Jewish blood? How dare you? You should feel shame for the poor terrorist. Oh, shame. This world is sick and evil, and we knew that anti-Semitism and anti-Israel would rise to incredible levels, back to World War II Hitler levels, and we're getting there really fast, as foretold in the book of life. Read your Bible, people. We're there. Pray for Israel, pray for the civilians, pray for the families that have lost so many loved ones this year alone already, that no one in the world is causing an outcry about. And when they rise up and get angry, they're in trouble. God sees everything. What breaks my heart is every time a Jew that doesn't know Jesus is killed, that window's closed, and that breaks my heart. So I pray for more and more of them to have a revelation of their Messiah every day. God bless. Keep looking up. Shalom.